Awesome. Our guest today is Hollywood from Glow, one of the original ladies of professional wrestling. And speaking of professional wrestling, who trained you?
You broke up, but I think you said who trained me.
Who trained you? Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was a huge audition, and they needed 12 girls to do the pilot. And my trainer for the first 3 months was Wanda Guerrero, and you know the Guerreros. They're a huge family.
Oh gosh, yes.
Traditional family of So Wanda was my trainer. She was an excellent trainer. You know, you followed his rules. You didn't laugh. You didn't make fun of it. You have to understand too. Everyone has to understand that back in that day, there wasn't just an all-girls wrestling program on television in 1985, 86, 87, 88. There was independent pro wrestlers all over the place, but we're talking about national TV, all women's wrestling. And so Mondo, the girls kind of were laughing. Some of them were laughing. And I'll tell you, he did not take that lightly. He took one of the girls and he put her in a sleeper hold and put her out.
Oh, wow.
And everybody just looked and went, So right away, he set the rules straight immediately. No one laughed ever again. We took it seriously.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Because it probably went in with a lighthearted atmosphere originally, but yeah, after seeing something like that.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. We better shut up. We better follow these rules and listen. And so Mondo was my trainer, as well as the other 11 ladies that did the pilot. We built that pilot, which was wonderful. Got some more ladies and did our first season in Las Vegas. And from then on, we had other lady wrestlers coming in to train us. There was Princess Jasmine. I think she was out of, I want to say Minnesota. I want to say David McLean's girls, and she trained a lot of the girls. And then there was Killer Tomato, who would come in, an independent wrestler, and train the rest of the ladies. And then it started trickling down to the ladies training the new wrestlers. So for me, I already knew the basics. So I started watching on television to learn more stuff because I wasn't learning. Mondo was gone. Mondo was already gone. I only had a few months training with Mondo, maybe 3 or 4 months. That was it. So if there was anything new, I had to watch, at the time, WWF, and watch what they were doing and just videotape it. Because remember, we have only VHS, and then watch that over and over and over to get my moves down and new stuff.
And I understand there was a Cynthia that you also worked with?
Who is it? Cynthia.
Cynthia
I don't know.
Oh, it was listed on one of the pages I did research on you. Cynthia Perpetti?
I don't know who that is.
Okay, well then I guess you didn't. Yeah, I was going to say, you would know. I was going to say.
I would know, unless you had another name, but like I said, the ladies that came in right after Mondo was Princess Jasmine. And I don't know, that could be her real name. Maybe that was her real name. And then Killer Tomato came in, and then some of the Glow Girls started training. Some of the original Glow Girls, Royal Hawaiian and Americana, started training the newer ladies that came in.
Awesome.
But that might have been Princess Jasmine's real name.
So who were the other 11? Tell us about them.
Okay, the other 11, I know you're going to ask me all that. So we have the Royal Hawaiian, we had Spanish Red, Americana, we had, now you're going to get me, we had Sugar and, I don't know, it was Princess Jasmine and another girl. There was 11. Oh, Tina and Ashley, of course, everybody knows Tina, who's Ivory, who played Ivory in the WWE. So there was 11 of us, and I think 2 of them played extra characters, possibly, but they only wanted the 12, and they basically had character names already picked out for the ladies that they chose to do the pilot. They were matching up their characters or their personalities, and I was like, please don't give me Americana, but don't give me Tammy Jones, and that was another one, Tammy Jones and Queen Kong. Matilda the Hun. Those were the other 2. And I'm like, I hope they give me somebody I can identify with. And they did it perfectly. I thought, I'll make a perfect Hollywood or mine, or I'll make a Tina or an Ashley. And they gave me Hollywood, and it was perfect. It was spot on. I was so excited to be able to play that character. Of course, I had to figure out what exactly does this character do? You know, is she good? Is she bad? What does she wear? You know, what's her gimmick? So, you know, they pegged me perfectly as Hollywood.
Awesome. So they always say that is one of the best things when you have a wrestler that you can kind of match up with their personality, and basically you just turn their personality up to 11. So it sounds like that was pretty accurate with your character.
It sure was, man. I turned that thing up to 11 or more. And, you know, I really was into 80s rock back in the day. So, you know, the gimmick for Hollywood and Vine was we were pickpocketers from the streets of Hollywood. That kind of didn't set well with me. But, you know, you do what you're doing in the beginning, the first season. You're going through the audience picking pockets. You're stealing jewelry from some of the wrestlers. But that was kind of like, eh. So I changed the character a little bit more, made her a little more edgier. I would go into Hollywood and I'd buy new outfits for Vine and myself. Some of them were, like I would watch some of those video vixens on MTV, and I wanted to dress a lot like them. I wanted to crimp my hair. I wanted to wear fishnet, you know, high heels, short skirt, a concert T-shirt, you know, the whole belt, heavy metal belt around your waist, the handcuffs. So me and Brian went for it. So really, we were just, you know, little video vixens out of an MTV rock video for back in the day, and it was so cool. And you'll see, I'm probably one of the only ones that has different costumes. Most of the ladies will have the same costume. Lakana has the same costume. Hawaiian has the same costume. But Vine and I, if you look through the seasons, I'm wearing pink and black, and then I changed it to a light pink and black, and then I went for the whole animal thing. Like we would do zebra and leopard print, and then we went to the corsets. You know, Brian had a blue one, and I had a silver one, and then I went for a black one with pink. So it was great just to mix up, and no one. The cool thing about it is, you know, our wardrobe lady, the director, we had a lot of people there. Not one person said you can't wear that. I would just put it on.
Nice.
You know, I just put it on and see if anybody would say anything, and they never said shit. So I'm like, cool. This is great.
So it sounds like your action figure would be one of the most interesting ones that they made a set.
That's right. If they made a set that way, you could put all these different clothes on her. Yes.
Awesome. So what was the audition like?
It was scary, but, you know, when you're very young, you're going to go for it. You're not afraid of anything, especially at that age. You know, the audition had like 500 girls on it, and it was at the Sunset. It was at the Hyatt on Sunset. There was probably 300 to 500 girls there. David McLean came up there to tell us that this sports show that all of our agents had told us about. They told us it was a sports show, but they didn't tell us what kind.
Oh.
So when we all heard the word, we didn't know we were going in for wrestling. They didn't tell us. At least they didn't tell me. My agent didn't tell me, and I don't think they told a lot of the other girls, because when they said, this is going to be an all-women's wrestling show, I'm telling you, a third of those ladies got up, and they took their resumes and pictures. They walked out, and I was like, oh, shit. What am I in for? But I was interested, and when you're young, you're fearless. I stayed, and like I said, then from there, everybody was. The cool thing about it is, you know, all walks of life, you know, of women, different shapes and colors, were invited to try out. They all got their chances in Mondo, and at the, you know, we would have our training was Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays after work. So it was cool for me. So from 7 to 10, I was training at a facility in downtown LA known as Watts. Not the most safest place in the world, but it was down at a training facility there. And every day I'd come back, Jane, every night, and I'd see different faces, or new faces, or less faces, girls. I'm like, what's happening to everybody? Well, they were weeding out the ones that weren't going to make the cut. You know, it was just awesome to just sit here and think about that day, or those days, making the cut, far and few in between, it's a pretty good accomplishment to go, you know what? I made the cut. I am one of the original Glow Girls that did that pilot, and started this new show that nobody heard about, or some people frowned upon, because, back then, you didn't see all women on television. You didn't. It was a different time back then. Look at Wendy Richter, beautiful girl, and Cyndi Lauper bringing in all the music and stuff. People did. They looked down, and Cyndi Lauper brought it back up again. She was huge at that point, and her and Lou Albino coming in with some of those wrestlers back in the day. That's just wow. What a time to be alive. That's how I look at it.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it was a revolution in professional wrestling and a revolution in music.
Absolutely. Putting those two together, rock and wrestling, that's amazing.
So,
I think they did call it the Rock and Roll Connection and the 1980s. They did. The girls just want to have fun, And Wendy Richter was pretty awesome. Judy Martin back then, Rockin' Robin, and Sherry Martel, Candy Devine, Medusa, Rolani Kay. And then there's the gorgeous ladies of wrestling, late 80s.
Exactly. What role did Dave McClain play in the success of Glow?
He was our producer, and David came from a pro wrestling background at a young age, and that was his dream. So he produced the show. Of course, they put him together with our director, Matt Timber, and Matt came from a film background. So, that's where you'll see all the sketches. I know David probably didn't want the sketches and the rap songs with the wrestling, but they wanted to make this more of a variety show, which is different. People sometimes look at it and go, that's not wrestling. Yes, it was wrestling, but we also added a lot to it. That's what made it different than just your straight up and down wrestling.
And to be quite honest, nowadays, there's some of the wrestling shows that unfortunately or fortunately, it just depends on how you look at it, probably 60-70% of it is the talky parts and 30 to 40% is the wrestling part.
That's right. I'd like to see more wrestling. But you know what, that's what's cool about, the WWE today. At least the ladies are getting that time now. You're not in for 2 minutes or 3 minutes or whatever. You're getting some time to tell your story, and that's what I still love about, my kind of wrestling. I love old school professional wrestling. I love that you're telling a story, bad guy versus good guy, evil, And back then, to be quite honest, I didn't win a lot of matches, and that's just only because, the good guy is supposed to prevail, not the bad guy. But they started booing our baby faces so much when they would win that finally Hollywood got her chance to shine a little bit more.
Nice.
So, yeah.
And of course, you mentioned you had a tag team partner, Vine. So tell us about your...
Vine, Janet Bauer. Janet Bauer was Canadian, I believe from the Toronto area, and she was the perfect tag team partner for me. I think we did really well. We complemented each other very well. I think she was or is still an excellent wrestler, actress, first of all. Oh my gosh, they had her, actually, she played 3 different characters. She was Vine, and then they had her as Jailbait for a minute, and then she did Princess of Darkness, so she was so very talented. And then when we were getting ready to start our 3rd season, we had lost a lot of the ladies in the 1st and 2nd season. A lot of girls didn't come back. I think mainly because they probably wanted more money. They thought that our TV show should be a union show instead of non-union. I stayed because why not? I'm doing well here. And so we got a lot of new girls, and so Vine left at the beginning of season 3, and I never heard from her again. I don't know if she went back home, or what happened. And to this day, I don't know where she's at. I hope she's well.
Yeah, that's a shame. I was going to say, it's a shame you never met up at a reunion show or anything like that.
Nope. she didn't come to the reunion. I don't think they could find her. That's the thing. You would think with all the social media there is. But then, this is how I look at it. I try to respect everybody's feelings. Not everybody wants to be on social media. My sister is the same way. She's cool, but she doesn't want a profile. And some people they're done. You know, they did something in their life and they're done with it and they move on. They have their families, children, you know, and move on. So I respect it.
So how would you compare Rose to Vine?
You get me broke up, honey.
Oh, how would you compare Rose to Vine? Wasn't Rose your next tag team partner?
Oh, you mean Broadway Rose? Broadway Rose.
Yeah, Broadway. Yep.
Yeah. Broadway Rose was excellent. What a character. She was a little Mexican jumping bean. It was awesome. You know, but you have one from, her character was out of Brooklyn, New York, so she was tough. And she could rap, and she could dance, and she could wrestle. She was a spitfire. Let me tell you, very good character. Loved having her. The cool thing, you know, one of the best things that happens when a tag team partner leaves, you get to do singles matches. Till then, I was able to do a lot of singles matches without a tag team partner. So that helped my character a lot. I did a lot of matches with the Farmer's Daughter and Tulsa, some of the cheerleaders. It just makes you a better wrestler, you know, when you get to do more.
Mm-hmm.
Especially alone, you know, being in the ring, doing 15 minutes, 20 minutes. That's a long match.
Oh, definitely.
You know, and there were and James, there were times when, you know, we would film in Las Vegas on a Saturday, and we'd start in the afternoon somewhere around 1 or 2 o'clock, and we went until the sun went down, and sometimes we were doing 4 matches a night.
Oh, sheesh.
That was a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot.
Oh, yes. That was a ton, and I'm trying to remember every single one of those matches. And, you know, again, when you're young, your brain is fresh. You can just go. I mean, that first and second season was the cream of the crop. Those girls were just so talented, so athletic. Tina and Ashley being cheerleaders, I think they were cheerleaders for the Express. I think Jungle Woman also was a cheerleader as well. And those girls were really good with our audience. They could dance, they could relate to the audience, they weren't afraid, so their characters were just pristine. They were awesome to watch.
So what was the atmosphere like in the locker room? Did everybody get along? Did most people get along? Were there 2 separate locker rooms for the heels and the faces?
Yeah, there was we had 2 different areas, especially being on tour, that we had 2 different locker rooms for sure. Heels one side, babies on the other, but during the taping, you know, for hair and makeup, we're always around the same area. And, you know, for me, we didn't really have a lot of time to sit there and bicker and bitch because we had so many matches that we were doing. And, you know, when you look back at it, this is how I look back at it. You know, some girls get along, some don't. We were all on television. We were syndicated. You know, what is there to bitch and complain about? You know, the only thing that we really didn't know, we honestly didn't know how popular we were. We had no indication because, first of all, it wasn't on TV for us to watch ourselves in Vegas. So we couldn't see ourselves live right away or every week, even to critique yourself, right? Mm-hmm. We didn't have the social media, so we really didn't know that we were popular until we would go on tour and go on, you know, say the Jesse Raphael show or the Donahue show when the audience was there, or when I figured I was going to pick up a check in Los Angeles, so I left Vegas during season 3 and 4. I was able to come in on a Wednesday and do all our sketches and the show and leave on Saturday night to go back to California. And I'm going to the office to pick up a check, and I saw bags and bags of mail. And so I had asked the receptionist, Jackie, secretary, I go, Jackie, I go, what's that? She goes, that's your mail. I go, what? They weren't giving us our mail.
Oh, that's
so,
nice. Yeah.
You know, I found it by surprise. And, there probably was a reason why.
Yeah, I mean, because some of them...
I know what the reason was, but boy, I'd go through it and start pulling out mail. I'm like, oh my God, people know who we are. You see, this is the power of television. It's huge. You never know how successful you are until you get onto TV, but when you're young, you don't know, especially if someone's not telling you that you're getting all this mail. We got to figure that we were popular because we did, for syndication, we went to NAPI. I went to 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 NAPI shows. You go there to promote your show with all the other TV programs on television. And Married with Children was there. I remember meeting the executive producers of Married with Children and some of the cast. So I didn't think anything of it. About, 4 months later, 6 months later, guess who's on Married with Children? Myself, the farmer's daughter, and Big Bad Mama, and we went in. They specifically asked for those 3 characters, so that was a huge honor. They were huge fans of our show, but it doesn't click. It doesn't click that you're, you're still thinking, I don't know what you're thinking. You're just thinking you're not as big as what you may have been, so we loved it. And the girls did a lot of shows. There were all kinds of shows that we had done because of our show. Playboy was another one. They picked 3 girls. That was myself. That was Thunderbolt and Godiva, and all 3 of us did a small pictorial called These Are Women in Playboy in December of 1989. Again, another honor to be able to do something like that. And so, it launched for a lot of people. I can't say it launched careers because, all of us should have went in a different direction. We all should have been like, in my eyes, we all should have been like The Rock. Why didn't we move forward away from wrestling or into acting? Because at the end of the day, what is wrestling? It's pretty much acting.
Exactly. It's more like the theater because it's usually live in front of people.
Very theatrical. Yes, in front of people. Oh, what a great time to be alive.
Now, you did go into the theater, go into the TV and the movies, with your stunt work and with guest appearances. Yes. You did a lot of interesting ones. Now, the one that confused me...
I did, but I could have pushed it.
Yeah.
I could have pushed it a little bit more.
The one confused me, it said In Living Color. So who did you play on In Living Color?
Yeah. I played, it's not on because that picture, but I left it on because I still get residuals to this day. I played a high school girl on the show, and what happens is I'm wearing a prom dress, and somebody steps on the prom dress, and it tears, and it comes off. So I'm wearing bra and underwear. I don't know if that was too racy for the day or what, but they cut it. It was gone. I'm like, where's my part? What happened? What happened to that part? They cut it.
Oh.
So that's why it's listed. I'm listing it just because I still get money from it. And that's another cool thing about, being on our show and being able to do, we've got it made as well. So when those repeat, those are residuals because those were union shows. I think the first union show that we did as Glow Girls, it was Lisa Moretti, Vine, and myself on the Kenny Rogers special. They wanted us on the show. I know Lisa worked on it. Vine and I were in our trailers. I looked down, and we didn't have one. We had 2 different contracts. We were being paid twice.
Ooh.
For a lot. Yeah. And Vine and I didn't even work. We didn't even work that day. We sat in our trailer. That is, the cool thing about working on set. You're still getting paid even if you're not working.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah. That's where I should have put 2 and 2 together and said, okay, how about if I only work, how about if I just work wrestling part-time and go into acting full-time? Exactly. That's what I should have done. But woulda, coulda, shoulda. It is what it is.
So some of the other female wrestling promotions that you worked for, which ones treated their talent the best?
I think Glow treated us the best. We really did. We had a hardcore director, but that director taught me a lot. He taught NWA, that was recently. I'd never worked for Billy Corgan before, and what a great guy, professional guy. They treat their wrestlers wonderful, very professional. There were smaller independent companies that I worked for, and you know what, those are far and few in between. So, you know, it's the same thing. It's just rinse and repeat. Come, do your job, get paid. We were paid well. I think these days things have changed a lot. We pretty much could name what we wanted. I know Lightning and I did that independent circuit for a little while, and we were paid well. You know, but I didn't think anybody treated anybody any differently. Everything was professional. But I loved working for NWA. I worked for Memphis Ladies Wrestling. They were great. There was the Glory Pro Wrestling people. There was PTCW. They all, after a while, are a blur. WWA, AIWA. You know, it was just, you know, right after Glow. And to be honest, you know, when you've been working with nonstop, you know, for 3 or 4 or 5 years, kind of want a little break. And I think that's where I was, especially when WWE had come into Los Angeles. I had an audition, which I went down to, but the problem, I broke my leg doing some independent wrestling. Yes. And so I'm only about maybe, 2 months into a broken leg. So I don't have all the motion back in my leg, so I'm limping, and I'm thinking, I don't want them to see the atrophy in my leg, so I'm putting on sweatpants, you know, which I wouldn't have auditioned in, but I did, and I got into the ring, and I started doing the audition, and I must have been one of their guys, and Jim's down there asking me, who's your trainer? And they're all asking me, and I'm like, it's Mondo. Oh, Mondo. And they start asking me questions, and they're all interested. And I told them the truth, that I'm sorry that I'm limping. I'm right in the middle of a broken leg, and that was it. I never heard from them again. Oh. But the thing is, I wasn't sad about it. I was like, I need to heal. I can't go someplace. I was so afraid to be in that ring again. Once you break your leg in a situation like that, at least for me, I was like, oh my God, I'm so afraid it's going to break again. And it was so painful. I broke it in 3 places, and, you know, so I don't look at it as the end of the career, because I still continued to wrestle after that. You know, I thought, oh, I'll never do this again. Ha ha ha. You do what you love and what you're comfortable doing. But again, I wanted to be a 20-year-old. That's the thing. My first, so 22, 23, 24, 25 was with Glow, and then there was the independent wrestling. I just wanted to, like, go out and hang out, go party and go hang out with my friends and not have to worry about someone telling me what time I have to be in or where I have to be and on the bus. And, you know, I was kind of over that for a little while. I just needed a break at the time.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's
no pun intended.
I know what you mean.
No pun intended.
Exactly, breaking the leg, yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, that is one of the great things with professional wrestling, that, to be quite honest, no one ever really does retire.
No, they do not. They keep going.
Exactly. Because let's be honest, any minute now, we could see a Ric Flair, Mick Foley match just cuz.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes, because. And you know what? When you've been doing it for so long, just ride a bicycle.
Exactly.
You know, and for me, I didn't stop. All the other ladies stopped. They were done. When Glow was over, everybody stopped. The only people that didn't was Lisa Moretti, Carol Russa, and myself. And I'm still continuing to do little things here and there, and it's just because you can. If you're in shape, you know, and you love what you do it. And people will go, well, what do you want to do it for? Well, I'll do it until my body says I can't, you know?
Yeah, speaking of in shape, I mean, you're in amazing shape. You do a little bit of an exercise show on your Facebook.
Yeah, I do that for my fans. I love it. It helps me too, just a little bit. I mean, I do my own exercise, but I just kind of get people motivated. They don't have to be there or anything. But on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I like to come on. I even did it today. I was dead tired. I was pretty tired. And I did that at 10:30 because that's usually when I do it, Central Time. And then I thank them for my soaps because I have a soap line called Hollywood Botanica. And that came along before COVID, before this situation that's happening, this pandemic that we are all going through and having to wear masks because. And, I started making soap 2 years ago, and I've been selling it and making it. I haven't been home for a few days, so I've got 70 soap to make, so I'm a little behind. I do custom soaps for different people, and I have one musician friend that is ordering like 60 for his store in Chicago, and I haven't advertised that yet, but I will, as soon as he gets it. So it's something I love. It's very therapeutic, and one thing I love is going back to nutrition and stuff is watching what you put in your body. Soaps are the same way. There are no preservatives in anything. So again, with nutrition and health, lots of water, exercise is great, and eating better. Trying to stay away from that sugar. That's hard for me to do, and I will say I'm pretty lucky because a lot of my body is more, gosh, I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought, is like my father. It's just genetics. That big G word, genetics. I'm very lucky. My dad's tall and thin. My mother's a little shorter and curvier, and then there you have it.
Nice.
So, a lot of a lot of the ladies were on diets and tried to diet, during their glow days. I ate whatever I wanted, and you just couldn't keep the pounds on me. I think I was about 115 wet. And today I go between 122 and 125. So I'm definitely not 115. That doesn't look so healthy on me. But a little more fat looks a little better on everybody anyway. You don't want to be too real thin.
I know what you mean.
She's a wrestler or a stunt woman.
Exactly. You need some cushion to fall on, yeah.
Yes, you do.
So I'm going to pitch you a reboot. They did the Ghostbuster thing. You mentioned, we all know you wrestled, but you mentioned the soap. So people that like to fight and soap. Does that make you think of any movie in particular?
You have to repeat it because you just people who fight. Were you thinking of Fight Club? I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, Fight Club. Went out again?
Fight Club, yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I was going to say.
Went out, but that's fine. I got your vibe.
Yeah, you got where I was going with that. I was like, yeah, because when you said soap, I was like, oh my gosh, they need to make Fight Club. You could be the Brad Pitt character.
Fight Club, that's it.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, that would be a cool one. Because, that movie was just so phenomenal in its day.
You know what I did on one of my customers said, you need to have a logo like Fight Club. So I went and made one, and it says Hollywood.
Oh, cool.
On it. I haven't put it on any of the soaps yet, but I actually was going to go on my bubblegum one, the one that smells like bubblegum. It's interesting because I have so many different types. I have fun ones, and then I have really good therapeutic ones, and then I have mermaids, and then for Halloween, I've got like bats and skulls and ghosts, and then of course October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so I decided to do a ton of pink, and then what I will do from every sale, the proceeds will benefit a company called hairtostay.org. So I will be sending money at the end of the month for all the pink soap that everyone has bought. And I just want to say thank you to those who did and have. And if they're still interested, they could go to Hollywood Botanica with the K.com and check it out.
Awesome. That sounds great. Any other projects that you're currently into?
Well, I'll tell you, writing is another thing. There's a bio that I've been working on for a very, very long time. Then COVID hit, everything kind of stopped. But I wrote a foreword for a book called The Ballot of Cousin Elvira, and that's by John Cosper, and he had me do the foreword. This is a wrestler in the late 30s, early 40s that people don't always recognize, but it's just, and I love the history of women's wrestling. I mean, without them, you wouldn't be talking to me right now.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Another book, I wrote the back blurb. So when you have a book and you're reading the front and then you turn over the back to read the blurbs on the back. I have another one from a really up-and-coming, this is, I think, his fourth book, and it's called Rolling Thunder. His name is A.J. Devlin, and these are awesome. They're crime mystery books, and they also have wrestling in them, or they have roller derby in them, and then, of course, by day, for the past he was a wrestler and now he's a private eye. It's a great book, and I did the blurb on the back of that for him. So writing is another cool thing that I like doing as well. And so hopefully, maybe 2021, 22, we can start on that. And then a comic. I have a second comic that's coming out at the end of, hopefully by December. The first one was like 1994 by Pen and Ink, and then Scored Circle Comics is another one, and John Crowther is doing that for me, and so I'm looking forward for that comic book to come out at the end of the year.
Awesome. Yeah, we had John on, a couple weeks ago. Great guy.
Oh, you did? Yes. Isn't he great?
Oh, yeah, he's phenomenal. Yeah, I mean, the neat thing about him, he's telling the true stories of a lot of our wrestling icons.
And that's what's so cool about the story. We took about, an hour, and he asked me, like, the questions you're asking me. And then he wrote that story into this comic, and it's awesome. And he wanted to know, what does mom and dad look like? What does your sisters look like? What sports did you play? It's everything that we really just went over, and that will be in the comic. And then we went through special matches, and I told them to go, these are on YouTube. Check out the one with the father's daughter. Check out this one with so-and-so. Check out this one with Justice. Yeah, these are the ones that I want you to highlight. So I can't wait to see it. It'll be pretty cool.
Cool. Yeah, his books are phenomenal. So I can imagine it's going to be great. Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, all the stuff that he's done so far. Yeah.
Very excited.
And the cool part is you were able to get it in the front of the line, because there's now, the way I understand it from him, there's a line that's going into 2023, 24, 25.
Good for them. That's all I got to say. If you have that much work coming up, there's nothing wrong with that. That's a good thing.
Exactly.
Like soap, see? It's the same thing as soap. People have to wash their hands. People need to read for entertainment. It's a win-win.
Well, Hollywood, we appreciate you joining us today. It's been a pleasure having you on the show.
You are awesome, James. Thanks for having me on today. I really appreciate it. Have a good one, and maybe we'll talk when that comic comes out.